is churning, and the first rumor up is that everyone in the MCU, as in like people, were watching that final battle at the Statue of Liberty from No Way Home. Remember the big scene with everybody, the Sinister Six versus Spider-Man, Doc Ock. But this rumor is that this, since they said, oh, there's no Otto Octavius, there's no Norman Osborn in the MCU already with that movie. This movie will inspire Spider-Man 4 new people to look up to those characters, potentially taking on a Dr. Octopus persona or a Green Goblin persona without being those direct characters, as they do not exist in the MCU. I would love to see an MCU version of these two characters, because obviously they were just essentially Spider-Man 1 and 2 versions yanked right into this, right? Like identical. Like even the actors, their personalities, the split personalities. I would love to see the MCU take on this, but at the same time, and I think you'll probably agree with me, Spider-Man has a plethora of villains that we could look at rather than the same ones over and over again. At the end of the day.
we got the best versions, like you said, of them all over again from the Raimi universe. I think if we're going to be doing, Green Goblin, I'd love to see the Ultimate Universe's version of it, of just like a big hulking creature with pointy ears. I think that would be cool. It kind of sounds like
an abomination.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like I'm describing the Abomination. But I mean, I don't really have a desire to see a Doc Ock that is just like the ones that we've already seen. Yeah. I mean, the more popular one I would say right now with the movie-going audience would for sure be the one that we saw in Spider-Verse with the, the pneumatic kind of clear tubes and everything.
Yeah, voiced by Catherine Hahn herself.
Yeah. But I wonder if maybe this when I first read this rumor in our show notes earlier today, I more got worried of like, oh, is this Sony's way of making more of these Spider-Man movie? Like, are they going to kind of use this as an excuse to keep these characters going? Because I feel like a Feige would try to do something a little bit more creative.
I think this is not true. I think this may be like it's like, hey, they're in the new villains will be inspired by them, but not take on their personalities. And I think we've talked about Scorpion, right? Well, as one returning. The Shocker returning from the first movie, and then Kingpin being in the fourth one. And I've heard more of that stuff than I've heard of this rumor. And again, this rumor, the only reason I mark it as a rumor is because it probably comes from a very not a non-trustworthy source, but someone who misses more than they hit. So I can see the Scorpion being like, oh, Octopus and Norman, they use tech to empower themselves to take on Spider-Man. They weren't just regular people doing it. So since Scorpion has a vendetta against Spider-Man, he can be like, okay, I need to build something that I can use to take on a superpowered hero at the same time, rather than being like, oh, we have a new Dr. Octopus. That doesn't work if your name's not Otto Octavius, right? That's why he got that name at the end of the day. So we'll cross our fingers that we get more of this information. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that we get something maybe at Comic-Con. But again, Spider-Man, big asterisk here, is a Sony property. Marvel, I don't think, does any Spider-Man announcements solo. They have to do it with Sony's. And Sony also, asterisk, chooses the release dates. Disney/Marvel does not choose a release date. So when Marvel says we're doing 3 films a year, 2 films a year, Sony can be like, okay, we're also doing Spider-Man, and that's a 4th movie, but that's technically Sony's movie. So I hate this cross ownership thing, Mike. It drives me nuts trying to explain it and think about it to people, because thankfully I never grew up in a divorced family, but I can imagine this is what it's like, right? Like, who gets custody on what days and what weekends and what holidays. So we'll cover that as we get closer. An official report for